guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. So let's just cut to the chase. I am actually so shocked at how this house turned out. I have played around with making realistic houses a few times, but honestly it just takes so long that I don't normally use so much detail in my everyday builds. That being said, sometimes you just want to be a little bit extra. There are a whole bunch of people in the Bloxburg community that focus solely on realism with their builds, and I applaud them so much. It takes a lot of patience, and honestly this isn't even supposed to be like a step-by-step video. I just want to help people out who may want to get a better idea at building realistically, because I'm also learning and absolutely don't know everything, but I definitely want to help out where I can. And my first tip that I think is so important is have patience. And low-key a lot of money to spend, but that's another thing, because you're going to be working on so many nitpicky details, and honestly nothing will ever be completely done, and you can keep adding detail all day long. You just have to know when to stop. So for this house, I went to my best friend Pinterest like always and found a house that stood out to me. Clearly this one I liked a lot because I actually saved it twice on accident. I thought the shape was unique, and I knew it would be a little bit more of a challenge with the roof, but it wouldn't be totally over ambitious. If you want to explore my Pinterest, it's always in the description, but I have hundreds of houses saved and inspiration that you could choose from so that you can practice yourself. I also wanted to start a little bit smaller with this house, so it is quite small, and I did add a basement level so I could experiment more when I finish it, but the bigger the house, the more detail, the more money, so keep that in mind as well. So now I'm going to walk you a little bit through the building process and show you how I got my house to where it is now. So I actually spent about 30 minutes just on this one tiny section of the house, just because I wanted to make it as detailed as possible. So I decided that the best approach was honestly to just do it wall by wall, especially because I already knew that I wanted to do a little bit of customizing to some of the windows. So instead of placing all the walls and all the windows down immediately, it's so much better, time efficient, and money efficient to place one window at a time and add all of your details to it, because more than likely you'll be able to use the clone tool and it will copy all of your customizations. Also, you can see I just completely missed a detail when I first started building this. I needed to put these shelves on the wall before I put the actual window planter on using the structures, and I just completely forgot about it. You are not going to pick up on every single detail you might want to in the picture when you're building, so you just have to be prepared. You might have to move things around, and that's okay. Obviously this is kind of unique to actually copying off of a house that you find online, but just be aware you probably won't notice every single detail when you're copying it first. So maybe take a scan of the house, make sure you really zoom in on everything before you start building. So maybe you can put aside your materials that you want to use and just get a better idea of what you're going to be doing before you start building. You are going to have to get creative when you're building. Like, I have no idea what this thing is. I'm assuming it's probably something to do with air conditioning on the inside. I literally have no idea, but you're going to be doing things that you never would have done otherwise if you weren't really copying off of a real house. Something that this house didn't have a lot of was custom lighting. Like, I think this is the only real light fixture that's on the outside, except for maybe on the porch, but I did have to get a little bit creative with it. There are so many things that you can do with lighting to make unique pieces, but that's kind of a weird way to word it. Most of the time you'll just see the lighting options and place it, but you can make them so much more custom without even having to use things like a transparent decal, which is also an option if you want to be like extra realistic. You can find a picture of a lighting fixture and actually just put it in, but you can also just be totally custom with lighting in game. One thing I noticed about these realistic houses is that they always have super like nice porches. They're always super decorated. They use like arches and pillars, just so many little details, because I guess every house that you see in real life for the most part has a porch. And I feel like when I'm making my houses, I never really pay much attention to the porch, but I honestly feel like it totally transformed this build. Like, it made this build. Another thing that I see customized a lot are doors, which is kind of crazy. People actually completely make the doors from scratch, so they're not actually usable. Mine is just because my house didn't have that crazy of a door design. The custom doors are really good if you kind of just want to practice building and just designing your own things, but it's obviously not really realistic if you are trying to use your house and role play or just honestly play in general. You want your door to be able to open, so keep that in mind when you are kind of decorating it. I didn't add a whole lot of like furniture and decoration to the porch, but you totally could, like adding hanging plants or like potted plants, I don't know, shutters, just a lot of things that you could do. Speaking of plants, I know that transparent decal plants are not everyone's favorite, and they do kind of also freak me out a little bit. Like, it makes the game look way more realistic than it actually is. Sometimes it looks out of place, but for the sake of this kind of build, I feel like using the transparent decals for things like bushes or trees or something is kind of fun to play around with, because you can really customize it and upload whatever you want to. And I definitely feel like you're not going to get the same realistic look if you don't use the transparent decals, but obviously you can use your own judgment. Also keep in mind, it is very expensive to use all of these transparent decals. Speaking of decals, I know this kind of jumped a bit here, but this is actually a decal of the window that was once there. Just because of the way that the roofing worked out, I actually could not use real windows for any of the top floor or second floor windows that you'll see that I already placed. I actually had to delete all of those and replace them with this, but like one of my first tips was I went ahead and added these rods, is that what they're called? You know what I'm talking about, the structure to the window before I copied it multiple times. But yeah, that is just a little bit of a heads up. When you are doing a lot of custom roofing like this, you won't be able to put windows that actually go to anything. And also, the second floor of this house is actually completely unusable because of that, so just keep that in mind. I actually took a screenshot of the windows from this build and then just uploaded it as a decal so that it could kind of look like it's real, you know what I mean? You will also see that I used horizontal planks on this part of the roof because I wanted the slatting, the panels, you know what I mean, like the texture, I wanted it to go up and down instead of sideways. So that is just a little hack. I've done that multiple times before. I also quickly added a little detached garage over here. I'm not totally sure if there's one in that picture, but I figured definitely needed it, and I think detached garages are so cute and add something to the build for sure. And then right now I'm doing some customization to the roofing, like I'm adding trim, which is a huge thing that I have noticed in all of these houses, is that all of their roofs have some sort of added trim. The normal gable roof does not have any sort of like white border to it, so that's just what I'm adding, and it adds so much to the final look of the house. So the last thing that I did here was just kind of improvise the back of the house since there was no picture, but all of it is really just a repeat of everything that I did in the front. So yeah, I really hope that at least part of this could have been helpful for you guys. I know that this is probably not something everyone is trying to do, but if you are at all trying to make your house a little bit more realistic, these are all tips that I think will be really helpful for you. Now in the next video, I will be decorating the inside, and I am going to take a stab at doing like a lot of custom furniture and making it realistic on the inside as well. So stay tuned for that video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. All of my social medias are in the description as per usual, so go give those a follow. Check out my TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all the things. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the speed build if you would like to. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.